Welcome in to the latest episode of the Betting the Pit Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, real_G Warner. We're going through England, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany on tonight's episode. Didn't feel like a Thursday night episode was worth it, considering I was out for the Cowboys recording a college basketball episode, and then there was only three matches on Friday, the 5th of December. It is the 5th of December, and we are getting you ready for a loaded weekend card. Thank you all for coming in, and I appreciate all the fight, the likes, the follows as I combine those two words. New YouTube subscribers at the real_G Warner are awesome. Same on Instagram at the real_G Warner. And then if you want to leave a 5-star review, would be really nice to leave some comments on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. The podcast is called Betting the Pitch. And we already have Joe Dollar in here. Nice to see you on a Friday night, Joe. Hope you had a nice week, and hopefully your family's not spent all the money, but you're going to make some more this weekend. So let's get into it. I'm going to do a little bit longer of an episode, I think, tonight, because I'm going to be going through where the lines have moved. I haven't been as active in watching them and literally updating every price change this week, but I do a lot of that, so I'm not so concerned, and we'll be trying to do a vegetable protein shake in the middle of this. So cheers to all of you, because I'm hoping you're eating or drinking something better than that. So first matchup on the list, Aston Villa. They are hosting Arsenal in the English Premier League, and we start there, as Jeff Lennar loves to hear, because that's where the money is. We'll start in that matchup right now. Aston Villa, they are an even money, half of a goal underdog right now. Juice on this one is 2.25, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over right now, actually all the way. Plus 102 right now at Bet Online, and I'll get you after I take a sip of this where the lines have moved so far. So, when I first started looking at this number, I saw Aston Villa, they were half a goal underdog, and the total was 2.25. We've seen a couple cents of juice come in with bets on the over, which is surprising to me. I'm not so surprised by Arsenal money coming in, because they're the best team in the world right now, it seems. Certainly have some flaws, and it's a little bit different going on the road in the English Premier League against a team that can defend. Unai Emery has, of course, all these reasons to play well, considering he used to manage Arsenal and didn't really get on too well, and they made fun of his accent and all this sort of stuff, being from the Basque region, where I'm wearing a Real Sociedad if you're watching on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or YouTube on video. I think there's a lot that this match means to him, and I do think that there's a fairly respectful type of nature in soccer, and I do think the players play for their managers a lot more when matches like these matter. Don't have stats behind it, but just something I've noticed over the years of following this and watching almost every match across the top 5 European soccer leagues. So I'm very interested in being against Arsenal goal scoring, because their defense is awesome, and they're going to keep this extremely low scoring. So 2.25 does seem like a low number, and it is, but I do trust a low scoring game to happen here, because I think that's what Aston Villa want. It's what Arsenal force you into playing. So I think that all points in the same direction, which I like. And I do think Aston Villa at home are a pretty good bet. I mean, they are started the year horribly, but have bounced back incredibly well. They defend great. I mean, that's probably their limitations. They don't have as many goal scorers as you'd probably want for a Europa League team. That's why they fell out of Champions League from last year into Europa League. But that's still good, considering they had been trying to stay in the Premier League for years and years and years. So, and it correlates, because I think we see a low scoring game. I don't think we see a goalless draw, unfortunately, and that makes the 2.25 look pretty dangerous. But 1-1 does profit half of a bet on the under, and it also will certainly win your Aston Villa bet. And we might even see this climb towards 3/4 of a goal favorites, Arsenal, and then they're requiring a lopsided win to take your full unit away from home. I just don't really see that happening. It's a pretty quality opponent. Next, in what looks like a logjam, 5 matches, I think, at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time here in the United States. We'll start with Bournemouth hosting Chelsea. Bournemouth, a quarter goal underdog right now. Most of the juice is on Chelsea, 8 cents difference. Total in this one is 2.75, and it's used very heavily to over. And I was going to notate where these numbers have moved. So currently, the Bournemouth total, it's been in between 3 and, well, I guess I had not seen a 2.75 yet. So this is the first one I've seen it now. Pretty much it's 3 across the marketplace, I think, but clearly, Bournemouth has taken a lot of money on the unders. They want to get some very juice money on the over as well. Try to balance their books a little bit is my expectation. In terms of the side, Bournemouth were pretty juiced when I first saw this number. We're minus 117, which is offers a plus 101 and a 16-cent juice that BetOnline offers. If you're not a client there, please reach out. I'm happy to refer any and all new customers because they give you a bonus for signing up. And the Premier League lines, 16-cent juice on soccer is something you don't see anywhere. And while it's certainly not 10 cents on Major League Baseball, is a very meaningful thing to have. And I highly recommend if you don't have an account there, they're available to all 50 states in the United States. They advertise even in a bar I go to every Sunday. So they're legit. I've had great experience with them. They sponsor this podcast for years. So I'm indebted to them and thankful to them. But I also would say it if I didn't like them. So, and I will recap Joe Dollar's post in the chat feature on StreamYard. So get ready for that, Joe. But Bournemouth, so they were minus 117 or down to minus 104. Clearly, money is coming in on Chelsea. I worry that's because of injuries, but that's a thing and something we need to deal with. Bournemouth certainly are not as deep, and having to play midweek is really tough on a team that isn't playing Europe, didn't expand a squad like Chelsea have. Chelsea probably spent $1 billion more on players since the U.S. owners took over anyway. So that's not great. But I do love the style Bournemouth plays. Anthony Iraola, everyone knows I'm a believer at this point, and nothing has changed that except for his place on the table. I do think the value has kind of been zapped a little bit out of Bournemouth, but I think they can play a really tight game here. The question is what Chelsea shows up. I think the push on three would be really important if you're looking to under. I think that makes sense with Bournemouth trying to play a low scoring game because they don't want to go up and down the pitch with Chelsea for 95 minutes or 100 with stoppage time, maybe even more than that. I don't really want much to do with that 2 3/4 at the moment, though. So I'll be waiting to see. So really, for me in this matchup, I think it's Bournemouth at quarter goal underdog at home, and I do love me some home dogs. If anyone listens to my podcast, move next to Manchester City. They are hosting Sunderland. Manchester City, a 1 3/4 goal favorite as we speak. It looks like most of the juice is on the Sunderland side, which is, I guess, has been kind of jockeying back and forth, but increasing at least from a minus 108 that I initially saw. So not a ton of movement there. Total on this one is 3. It is got plus money on the under. And that is probably because Manchester City are going to try to outscore Sunderland. They want to play a high scoring game, and Sunderland want the opposite. So I think the real question is who gets their style, who gets their pace. And I think what we're going to see is Sunderland defending for an hour or an hour and a half or every second that this game has. But they've been used to that. They came into the Premier League with that type of style and game plan. And at this point, I'm not really so afraid of Manchester City. I mean, their offense is great. They've got plenty of big name, great talented players. I do think, unfortunately, Erling Haaland is really best on the break, and they're not going to have that. And that's not what Manchester City has in any match they play. Yes, he gets a ton of goals, great FPL asset. If you don't know him, I don't know what you've been doing, but Pep and Erling Haaland's game don't work. And forever to me, I think they're going to be overvalued. Numbers exactly what I made it. I would love to get a 2 here on the side. I don't think we will. But you never know when the English cash machine gets going. It goes burr. Funny joke, maybe 2 years ago. But and if you're not in the U.S., then you probably wouldn't get that. But Jerome Powell is about to cut some rates next week, so we'll see. Hit that money machine, baby. But Sunderland have done nothing for me to want to get off their train. Even some bad results, and of course, playing 2 matches in a week is going to be really hard for them. And Manchester City are used to it, but they're really deep, and they can't or won't likely play their best 11 back-to-back matches. So that messes with how things have congealed. We'll see the continuity. And Sunderland, like I said, it's going to be a tough trip for them on the road. I probably like under 3 more than I like the 1 3/4. So they're certainly very correlated. Low scoring game is exactly what we want. But I think Sunderland can go into Manchester City, get a draw, maybe even win. I wouldn't be shocked by that. I mean, it would certainly upset the apple cart and be a great payout. Let's see what that number is. If you're taking Man City to win, they're minus 390. Sunderland over 10 or 10.5 to 1 to win regulation. I would not recommend that because the tie would be a great winning bet on the side, and you would lose to a money line play, and I wouldn't want that. But a lot of potential value on the underdog there. We'll move next to Tottenham hosting Brentford. Currently, Tottenham Quarter goal favorites right now. All the juice is on Brentford away from home. And that has taken a major climb from minus 106 to minus 126. So if you like Brentford, you probably want to grab that plus one quarter as quickly as possible. And it's probably down to pick a lot of places across the marketplace. In terms of the total, we've seen it climb from 2.5 to 2.75 with a lot of juice on under. So pretty much Brentford's been bet and totals climbed, but really how much difference is there? There's a lot in terms of grading if this game lands three, but I don't know that there's a ton of difference between a very juiced 2.75 to the under and a very juiced 2.5 to the over. Certainly, it's much more on that quarter between 2.75 and three, but we're not there yet. So, where would I want to go in this one? So, Tottenham have been really disrespected by marketplaces in the Premier League, in Champions League. Just not a lot of belief in, especially how they play at home. So, and they're home here. Brentford not used to playing twice in a week. They had a really tough matchup midweek as well. That's tough, back to backs. But Tottenham are going to have to. I mean, I don't know that the manager is a great fit for the job. I think he's a great manager, but going from and here we go. This is a Thomas Frank Derby as well because Brentford, while this match means a lot to him, it means a lot more to the Brentford fans who I'm sure are going to be singing his name the whole time, especially if things don't go well. And Tottenham's crowd has turned on its team so many times. I mean, there's a lot brewing for an upset here, and I can certainly understand why people wanted to back. I mean, it's obvious. Tottenham have not played well. They played very defensively at home. That's probably why the total also makes sense to look toward under. It is about as peak valuation as you can find with Brentford, who've been really good against the big clubs in the Premier League this season, despite having a pretty much unknown manager to most, including myself, really, if I must admit. I think there's potentially going to be a Tottenham surge at some point, but I don't know that I really trust any of their players. I mean, Richarlison is about as hot and cold as the Brazilian would temperature would suggest. And I got to say, the rest of that squad, I mean, they've got good defenders, but you can't really trust Mickey Van de Ven to score twice in a match too often, and he's already done that once this season. And this is where having a mustache, drinking a vegetable smoothie on camera is not a great idea, especially not with a white shirt either. What am I doing? Anyway, move next to Newcastle and Burnley, still in this 9 a.m. window, and we still have one more matchup before we get the nightcap on Saturday. Newcastle, 1.5 goal favorites to Burnley. Juice is very heavy on the Newcastle side, and they're used to playing multiple matches in a week, and Burnley are certainly not. So that's a problem. And going to James's Park, also a big problem. Total in this one is 3. It's juice minus 114, down about 3 cents from what I've seen so far. Not a lot of movement. Though we did see Burnley as a 1.75 goal underdog with all the juice now down to 1.5. So that seems to be where that number's going to move. If anything, would not expect Burnley money to hit, especially after seeing them pretty disrespected midweek. Not a lot of money coming in on them until right before game time when I played them. But I think Newcastle, I mean, they've looked like a horrible team away from home and are really good at home. Not sure that they're good enough to pace Burnley, who's going to go in and defend. And Kyle Walker's been awesome. I love what I've seen from him so far this season. Kind of a cast off, but still has that pace at his age, which is amazing. And I'm sure is still with his escorts all the time, like he was during COVID when everyone was supposed to stay home and he's saying, stay safe, and still throwing hooker parties. But, you know, if you got the money, if you got the quid. I think Burnley under is probably my biggest interest here. It's about what I made it. 2.90179 if you're really looking for the numbers out there. I don't know that I want to get much involved with the Burnley side here because I think this could get ugly, and that does leave me pretty concerned about the total as well. Last in this 9 a.m. window on Saturday, the 6th of December, we have Everton. They're quarter goal favorites at home to Nottingham Forest with plus 101 on the Nottingham Forest side. Money has been coming in on David Moyes and crew. Total in this one is 2.25, and it is juiced the same as I last updated this. And I guess there hasn't been a lot of movement, but 2.25. It's been juiced a little bit more to under since I've been watching it, but it's only moved 4 cents. These are two teams that don't want to score goals. I mean, they want to, but they don't really have much in their teams to do it. Nottingham Forest spent a lot on players. They do that every season, bring in a ton of new faces, which doesn't seem to be a good idea to me, especially when they've gone through multiple managers in the same season and really the first few weeks because of personality disagreements and things of that nature. I don't really want much to do with Nottingham Forest because I don't really trust them to score. This is another derby of a former manager, though. Thomas Frank left Brentford by choice, and Sean Dyche did not leave Everton by choice, but we've got two of the more conservative managers out there, and it certainly points to under. So that will definitely be on my list as a potential play for the ultimate best bet coming up. End of show. We are 12 and 7, 63%, 12 7 to 1, 63% so far in the matches that I have caught up on. I guess I'll now move to, I think that was enough discussion there, hopefully, to the nightcap on Saturday. We have Leeds hosting Liverpool. Leeds, half a goal underdogs with almost every penny of juice on the Liverpool side. There is 1 cent minus 101 on the Leeds home underdog. And they had been half of a goal, moved up to three-quarters of a goal, now back down to half. And I would expect them to climb back to that three-quarters of a goal because Liverpool gets bets as they're one of the most popular teams in the world, certainly in the Premier League, and are defending Premier League champions. With that said, they've not been anywhere near as good, but they haven't been near as lucky as they were last season, in my humble opinion. And if you've been following us, patreon.com/real_G Warner for all my plays across all sports. You've been against Liverpool a lot this season. You did win on Liverpool at home against Real Madrid in the Champions League, but it's been a good year fading them, and I don't really see that stopping, nor do I want to. Total in this one, 2 3/4. It was three. It's now a very juiced 2 3/4. So we'll see that oscillate between the two. I think biggest interest for me is Leeds backing their home crowd to play a really tight game and keep this low scoring, and Liverpool don't really want that, but I do want the three to come back, so I don't think that'll make it for the ultimate best bet in this episode. Move to Sunday. We'll start with Brighton, 1 goal favorites at home to West Ham, and they got a lot of respect in the midweek match. Total in this one is three, juiced all the way to under. We've seen three. It's jockey between 2 3/4 and three. I'm not sure. I mean, West Ham have one of the more conservative managers in the world. That's not going to change, especially away from home. Brighton, I feel like, are still treated like a team that scored a ton of goals, played really well in Europa League, won a group, I think, under Roberto De Zerbi, but he's been gone for a couple seasons now at Marseille in France. I don't know that Fabian Holsterloh is going to be there for that long. They like him. He's young, fits the Brighton system, but I don't know how great he is. And I got to say, the West Ham side getting a full goal of insurance here is pretty cheap. Looks like we might get 1 1/4 before kickoff on Sunday morning here in the United States. Those things are tempting. So I'll put both of those things on my list. Certainly, I like under three and would like to keep that. Still far above the number I made. But the side is also interesting to me as well. As I mark that down. Moving to Sunday, and we do have a Monday matchup. There's a million. If you want to bet matches all the way through like the 20th of December, maybe you can do that on Bet Online. Hit me up at the real_G Warner across any social media platform if you want a referral. Fulham, they are a pick'em in the, I guess, nightcap on Sunday. Odd, I guess, a London derby, but these teams don't really hate each other, so I don't really see much in that. Fulham, a pick'em at home to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, of course, playing Europa League or Europa Conference League this year. Total is 2 1/4, down from 2.5. It's been pick'em this whole time, and I'll be waiting for Crystal Palace to move to an underdog. Don't have that yet. I expected Fulham to be an underdog, and I don't really see why they're getting so much respect because I've been backing them a fair amount this season, not with much success, I must say, and they've been pretty disappointing. So at the current pick'em, I'm not interested, though it's certainly way cheaper than the underdog I was expecting. So I lean the other way. I have had a lot of success with home pick'em so far this season, and I am very glad I added it to my repertoire of potential soccer bets so far this season. I'm sure Joe Dollar is as well, because all underdogs was really giving him some stomach pains, I think. Total is 2 1/4 in this one, and I think we could see some goals, but Crystal Palace eventually is going to stop being able to score as much as they have. I trust their defense, so I think that's probably my bigger interest in that one, is the under, but I would love to see if we can get Crystal Palace as a 1/4 goal underdog. So I'll add that to the ultimate best bet possibility list. And I got to put West Ham +1 and also under 3 in there. So there's a possibility for the end of the episode. So let's go to last game of this Premier League card, and then I'll move to Spain. Reference all of Joe Dollar's comments because I'm sure there'll be a bunch. Wolverhampton Wanderers, three-quarter goal underdogs at home to Manchester United. Uh, Numbers on this one have climbed from a half of a goal, which was plus money for a while, and that's expected. Now it's a pretty moderate juice right now. I would expect three quarters to stay, and I'll be loving this if we can see this move to a full three. Excuse me, a full goal of insurance. Now I've given away the total portion of the show, so we've seen some money coming in on over, which makes sense with Manchester United also being bet as a favorite. Those things correlate, but those are the things that I want to play against set markets that then have crossed numbers and have moved into kind of key areas. A three on the total would be important. One certainly would be, but even from half of a goal to three quarters is still pretty meaningful to me. Wolverhampton Wanderers have been awful. They've changed managers, and I kind of liked whatever the heck his name was that Luton Town did. Rob something. Probably have that in here somewhere. Let's see. I should have that. Rob Thompson, Rob Jones, something white. Damn, don't have it. Well, anyway, someone tell me in the comments. Whoever, if you're with me right now live on Friday night, you know. So I choke on some crushed up broccoli, probably. Gross. I haven't found a way to make this thing actually tasty, but no one probably believes me, and you don't care about that. So, for a best bet on the English Premier League portion of the show, maybe I should give Joe his due and get to him first. But I'll do that. Let's see how Joe over in favorites. Joe, what are you liking today? Oh, okay, we're all out here. Got a lot. So Arsenal, both teams to score. That's certainly not how I feel about this one, though. I didn't really say that I felt a 0-0 was coming. I do think we could see some low scoring games. Bournemouth, both teams to score and over. I think that is if Chelsea gets to dictate their type of pace and play the game they want to. I don't think Bournemouth will let them do that at home. They can score goals, though, and that would certainly fit your plays. Yeah. Spoiling results that I don't want to see. Thank you, Joe. Man City win and both teams to score. I mean, that would be that's the chalk, man. If that's how you want to do it, I don't think that's a profitable strategy in soccer betting. It certainly can be at times, but Brentford do not bet. Okay, I think that's what that means. Newcastle -1.5. I mean, that could be possible. Newcastle have been really good at home. St. James's Park is awesome for them, and Burnley trying to play twice in a row in a week. That's gonna be hard, or three times in 8 days. What it feels like is gonna be tough. Leeds half a goal. That's pretty much back at home field, or just hating on Liverpool. I could see that. Leeds team total over 1.5 is very aggressive for a team that doesn't look like they can score goals to me ever. Brighton, both teams to score. I think you're part of the De Zerbi factor. Fabian Hutzler has not done that. I don't think as a manager. Palace skip. Manchester United over 1.5 team total. So you're with the market right now, Joe. A lot of people are believing that they're going to see more goals or an uptick for Manchester United, and I can't wait for those days because I would love to be against them yet again. Seems like audio is working okay. Let's move now to La Liga in Spain. Of course, before I do that, Nottingham Forest under 2.25 goals is my best bet from England. All right, we'll start with Villarreal. They're hosting Getafe in what is a much more defensive matchup than I think anyone would have expected this season. In terms of where this number is and where it has moved, I'll get into it now. So, Getafe are now a three-quarter goal underdog. That has been moving around quite a bit. I've got three-quarter goal underdog at even money to start, then moved up to one, very juiced. Now we're back down to three quarters, but it's extremely juiced on the minus three-quarter goal favorite line for Villarreal at home. I guess I got to believe in what I have seen so far this season. They've been awesome, though, and a change in style to fit their managers, how he wants to play, certainly can explain that. I just don't know that they're going to keep scoring goals playing a counterattacking version, and Getafe are literally going to sit in the defensive box for the whole game. So 2.25 is a gigantic total at this point for me with Getafe. I do think there's value in grabbing 2.25 before it hits two because that push on two is important if you're playing under because you only win half the bet there. And the push on two, yes, plus money would be nice. But this one should be trending downwards. We've seen an initial move towards over, which is surprising, but then we've now gone from minus 104 to minus 102 to minus 115 now. So I think some money's coming in on under, and that's certainly the way I'd want to play this one, 7 a.m. Eastern time, or excuse me, Central time in the United States. And I'll add that to my list as a potential best bet opportunity. Moving now to the next matchup, 9:15 Central Time. Alaves hosting Real Sociedad as I wear Real Sociedad button up, I guess. Kind of V-neck. Not really. I don't know. I like these collars, or I like this, but this shirt is not weathered very well, unfortunately. It's first time wear was good. After that, Real Sociedad are a pick 'em right now. The juice is split both ways on the road at Alaves. This is a Basque derby, not really a big rivalry, but two Basque teams, and Alaves certainly will feel like the little brother in this matchup, which could get their crowd pumped up a bunch more. Total in this one is two, and it's juiced more to the under. Excuse me, more to the over. We've seen a few cents ticking up on the underside, so some money coming in there, which it should be. I don't really trust Real Sociedad to score goals. We haven't for years. I don't trust Alaves. I just trust them to commit fouls. They can keep 11 men on the pitch. I think it's going to be hard to see 3 goals here, so under 2 looks interesting to me in that one. Moving next to a high-scoring match, and that's Real Betis, a 3/4 goal underdog at home to Barcelona. Almost all the juice, minus 117 right now on Real Betis. We're 20-cent lines in Spain, so minus 103 on the Barca side. And that's kind of rare because Barca gets bet every time they play, pretty much, and they also had to play an extra match midweek because Real Betis did not play. Barcelona did because they're getting ready for the Supercopa de España, played in a very Spanish city of Riyadh or something like that, Saudi Arabia. In terms of the side, we've seen Betis get bet a fair amount. I mean, it's started with Barca money coming in, then Betis has climbed. I do think there's value in 3/4 of a goal underdogs as opposed to waiting for a half. But at this point, I might be okay waiting because Barca gets bet every time they play. In terms of the total, we saw 3.5 jockey down to 3.25. We're back up to 3.5, and it's more juice to under, so that should be pointing that direction. I don't know that I really trust any sort of unders with Barcelona's high line, which doesn't get as many offsides as it did last season. People have figured it out, it seems. Real Betis are also not really a low-scoring team. They're goal scorers, so that's probably an over if you're interested in one in Spain. I don't know. That's not been a profitable side, though, so far this season at Joe Dollar. We'll now move to the nightcap on Saturday, though I've fell behind on my duties on posting or on adding things to the potential ultimate best bet. So bear with me for just one moment as I take a swig of this awesome refueling energy or whatever's coming here. So the nightcap on Saturday, Athletic Club with a really tough week, having hosted Real Madrid in that early makeup game, as weird as that sounds. They then get to host Atletico Madrid, and it's an opportunity, I guess, to restart the season, but things have been horrible for Athletic Club. I mean, barely getting wins against Real Oviedo is embarrassing, but they did it. We're fortunate that there was a goal nullified that would have tied the game, and who knows what happens after that, but goals cannot be trusted from Athletic Club Bilbao. They're 1/4 goal underdogs right now with a lot of juice, and it's been climbing steadily. So there's some love for them, even though they played a day later. Atletico Madrid played a day earlier against Barca midweek, against the two front runners for the title. So I don't know that puts Athletic Club in any better spot. They are at home at San Mamés. That's huge for them. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's been that way so far. We saw some initial flurry of under money. We're back to the same juice that I initially saw. So really, we've seen some money come in at Athletic Club, and that's about it. Now, I lean to Athletic Club and under because it fits the way they play and really the way that Atletico Madrid probably don't respect Athletic Club as much. So they might be more attacking, which probably makes me like the Athletic Club side a little bit more. I don't know that these would either feel good enough to be on my ultimate best bet radar, though. So move to Sunday of Elche hosting Girona. Currently, Elche, a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice. And that has actually increased significantly after initial Girona money hit, which is a bit of a surprise to me. Elche have been awesome this year, have been great money makers for us, and I'm very thankful for them. Total's 2.5. It's been a little bit juicing more towards over since I've been watching it. Um, I don't know necessarily that I'm in love with Girona, but because I've been trying to fade them all season. I don't know that I've made enough money off of it after their horrible start to the year. I've made some, but I think Girona are eventually going to turn it around. I don't know that I want to also reverse course and start betting against one of the newly promoteds that's made me a ton of money to start this year. And all the subscribers at patreon.com/real_G Warner. So that's tough because at what point are valuations too high? I think at a quarter I'm interested in Girona, but it might not be enough. We'll move next to the 9:15 Central Time on Sunday. Valencia hosting Sevilla. Currently Valencia quarter goal favorites with all the juice, and that has continually seen this matchup has seen money come in on Valencia. They've moved from only 5 cents or so, but gradually they've been moving towards a bigger favorite. Maybe a half of a goal is coming. I don't know that you can trust Valencia to score goals like that, though Sevilla certainly are not exactly in the trust tree either. Um, in terms of the total, or at 2.25 goals, it's very juiced to over, and we've seen the number kind of move up a little bit on under, so get some under bets, and now over has been coming in. And I got to say, I'm pretty interested in the Sevilla side of things. I think Valencia, I thought they'd make a much bigger jump this year. They've not really done that. And for that reason, I think I'm more interested in potentially playing Sevilla and their up and coming nature. Quarter of a goal is very cheap, though. I don't know if that's enough for me to play. Move next to Rayo Vallecano. They are visiting Espanyol. Espanyol quarter goal favorites with almost all the juice on Rayo right now, which has been that way this whole time, but it was more juice before. So we've seen some Espanyol money buyers coming in. Total in this one is 2.25, juice pretty heavily to under, but that's also been the case this whole time. I feel like Espanyol, who've are at home in this matchup, and that's where they've dominated games. That's the scary part if you're back in Rayo here. I don't think a quarter of a goal is enough for me. I think biggest interest is Rayo going to defend away from home against a club that's not in Europe and that has not been as dominant to deserve an all-out defensive effort, but I think it's what Rayo gives, so under 2.25 looks most interesting to me. To the nightcap on Sunday, Real Madrid hosting Celta de Vigo. Currently, Real Madrid are a 1.75 goal favorite. They are open 1.5, so they've climbed. And that makes sense, though they did play an extra match midweek. Celta Vigo did not. Total in this one's 3.5, and it is juiced a little bit more to under. And we've seen some under money hit and then some over money come back. So I don't know that there's a lot to say here. I think until I get a 1.75 goal bump because that's what I made it to a full two, I'm probably staying away from fading Real Madrid at home at the Bernabeu, even after an extra match midweek. To the last matchup in Spain before we get to the ultimate best bet portion of the show. Osasuna, 3/4 goal favorites with more juice on the road team, Levante. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to under. Now, we've seen 2.25 move to 2.5, though it's gotten more juiced after initial over money hit. Seeing Osasuna climb from a half a goal favorite to 3/4 suggests that there's probably more distrust for Levante, newly promoted side, going away from home, and things have not really been easy for them so far this season. But Osasuna have been bad, have been really missing Yagoba Arrasate, who left for Mallorca. And I gotta say, I'm pretty interested in the road underdog here, just really to fade Osasuna because they play well at El Sadar, but it's never really been that comfortable, I don't think, for them anywhere. And I think there's a lot of potential magic here on Levante. Go lose 1-0. You play under and the +3/4, and you will be profitable and move on to the next matchup. The Levante, I think, could get the first one, and who knows what happens. For the ultimate best bet in this episode from Spain's La Liga, I guess I got to see if Joe's made some comments because that does interest me. I will say. Let's see, Joe, you there? Uh-oh. -5,000 Griffin pukes up the veggie smoothie. Hey, I mean it's possible. I think the muscles need it though, Joe. Oh, draw no bet. Got it. Got it. Thank you for the update. My bad. All these things I don't play. So we have going back to Spain. So Villarreal and under 3.5. So buying a little bit of protection on the total. I think that makes sense. I don't really see a lot of goals coming from Getafe. Barca with both teams to score. Yeah, probably a high scoring game. I guess I could do every time one of these comes out, I could say it or show it. So if you don't think I'm making it up, Atletico Madrid and both teams to score, very possible. And I think we see some goals in that matchup on one hand. But if Atletico Club get the game they want, it's going to be 1-0 them at home probably. Real Madrid and under 3.5. I feel like you are really playing a strangle here if I can use options terminology, as I'm back in that biz. I think Real Madrid, I mean, they've been scoring a ton of goals, and Mbappe looks a lot better. Xavi Alonso, I think, has been okay and playing a much more offensive midfield with Arda Güler next to Jude Bellingham, which maybe due to age certainly fit, and Mbappe playing a second year, not a first year, getting used to Spain also fit. I think this has been pretty fortunate for Xavi Alonso, but I've been a hater, so I'll admit that too. For my best bet on the Spanish portion of the show, let's go Getafe Villarreal under 2.25 goals early first thing Saturday morning. Move now to the Italian Serie A, and we will get it started. I don't think there was a Friday match, as that was a big reason why I didn't record last night, besides having a few. What did I have? Some Danish beer. It's pretty famous. It's not Copenhagen. What the hell? Anyway, it'll come to me. We'll start on the 6th of December. We did have Coppa Italia midweek, and some of these teams will be playing multiple matches. But Sassuolo, we'll start with them. Quarter goal underdogs at home to Fiorentina. Very juiced and was initially a pick'em. So we've seen some Fiorentina money come in under new manager. Total in this one is 2.25, and that's where it's been this whole time, with more money coming in on under, as it was initially priced with plus odds on the under. So we've seen some under money hit, eating that up. We've seen some Fiorentina money, which is a little bit surprising because I mean, Sassuolo have not been the goal scorers of years before under Roberto Zerbi. A lot of mentions for him on this episode, but I think home and underdog against a team that's been really struggling is, of course, interesting to me. Total's a little small, but Fiorentina have not really been scoring much, and I'm not so concerned. Moving next to Como on the road at Inter Milan. Currently a 1-goal underdog on the road are Como. They are minus 114, so we've been seeing some money coming in on the road underdog at the full goal of insurance. Total's 2.5 in this one, down from 2.75. And pretty much we're seeing, to me, money that's betting against Inter Milan scoring goals. And I do trust the Inter defense. The +1 is bigger than I made it, which getting a key number for free, essentially, does feel, of course, like the place I would want to be. The big question is Inter. I mean, they got off to a rough start, but have been awesome in Champions League and really good in Serie A as well. Como have not really been scoring goals, have not been playing well, but the market has loved them for 2 consecutive seasons. That seems to happen with the big spending League 2, League 2, or Serie B in this case, promoted from the lesser division. But a lot of those teams can still go down. And I don't think Como are going to do that. They're not in a position to do it because so many teams did not even win a match for so long. Fiorentina, Pisa, Cremonese, I think won their first weekend, but then struggled since then. Fiorentina, of course. All those things I don't know that fit very well. But I do think that Como is talented, and at some point they're going to get it together, or at least start, or the market's going to change their opinions. But again, market forever believing them, even though the number's bigger than I made it, which does, I guess, reflect a little bit. So I do think we see a low-scoring game there, though. That's not the match that Como really wants to play, but it is what Inter wants to play. Want to take a 1-0 lead and kill you right there. To the nightcap on Saturday, Verona hosting Atalanta. Currently, Verona 1 full goal underdog with all the juice right now, and that is up from a half of a goal. So we've seen some climbing here. Which I guess, I mean, Atalanta got a fair amount of respect this midweek in Coppa Italia. And I guess there's some belief in this new manager. There's also been more money coming in on over, as it was pretty juiced to under initially. I think the Verona army, it travels really well. Doesn't need to here because they are at home. And I'm not really a believer in what Atalanta have done. Gasperini, I think, was a huge loss for them. And I am not really afraid of potentially being on the other side of that and seeing a low-scoring game and backing Verona to get a very big result at home with the chance that they lose by a single goal and you get to push. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Cremonese, a quarter goal favorite at home to Lecce. Right now, all the juice on Lecce. And let me log that in here. Total in this one is 2, and it was plus odds before. Now it's minus 107. So we've seen 10 cents of juice change. And I expect more of that because Lecce are literally going to go on the road and try to win 0-0. It's a joke, but that's literally how they want to play. Cremonese have been pretty good at hanging around with teams. We'll see how long that lasts, but Let's Say a road underdog are interesting to me against a newly promoted side that's shown not a lot since some big upsets early in their campaign. We'll move next to and that was a 5:30 Central Time here in Dallas, Texas. So RIP to me if I'm getting up for that one, which I may because juices are important to me, but I am going to watch that too because I don't want it to get below that, as that is my minimum for unders in soccer betting. Move next to Cagliari hosting Roma. Currently, Cagliari a 3-quarter goal underdog at home, coming off of Coppa Italia midweek. All the juice on Roma right now away, and that is a bit of a twist of fate or fortune. Cagliari did rotate a fair amount in Coppa Italia midweek, as all the bad teams did, which is unfortunate because I did take a lot of plays out of my potential hands, but c'est la vie. In terms of the total, we've seen it get juiced pretty heavily to under. It's come back towards over since then, and it seems like that is probably betting Roma as a road favorite. I don't know that. I mean, Gasparini, I've already said such nice things about him already in this episode. I'm not really sure that I've seen the Roma that he wants them to be, but maybe that requires a change in personnel. I think Cagliari at home have proven that they're going to play really good defense. I don't know that I want to play them until I get a full goal of insurance, but that looks like it's possible. And so I'll be waiting to see if that does end up showing up. Move next to Bologna, who played the last matchup of Coppa Italia, I believe, or was that Lazio? I think they both played on Thursdays. This is a really quick turnaround to Sunday morning. Bologna more used to playing multiple matches per week, though a Lazio side that pretty much couldn't add anybody, but have been playing twice a week the season before that in Europa League, I think it was. Should be okay used to that, I think. And the money has been coming in on Lazio so far. I think the Bologna side is of interest to me as it gets to a quarter goal underdog. I really like them. The 1.25, or excuse me, the 2.25 goal under total has been hit hard, was juiced really heavily initially as well, and probably due to a quick turnaround. But now we're at 2, juiced more to the over, but I'd be worried about that number potentially shrinking. And so Bologna are of interest to me and certainly are on the list of potentials. Total is also very low, but those are two things I'm looking at depending on what the lineups are going to be. To the big matchup on Sunday, we do have a bunch of Monday matches, actually. The big one that they have in reserve for the biggest matchup each week, Juventus on the road at Napoli. Currently, Napoli are quarter goal favorites at home, and they've been pretty disrespected by the marketplace. We've been seeing some money coming in on Napoli, though they were quarter goal favorite this whole time. Very juiced on the Juventus side. Total in this one is 2, which is tiny. Both these teams played in Coppa Italia midweek. But both of their opponents rotated significantly, and we'll see what that ends up looking like for how much toil will end. I mean, 2 feels tiny, but reflects the state of these rosters and potentially the lineups. I expect the best will play, but tired legs can be hidden in a starting lineup initially and then really show up. So I'm going to expect having to get to 3 goals to beat me is something I'm interested in, though it's certainly pretty expensive right now versus where I'd want it to be at nearly 2.5. But that probably was bigger of a number than expected. Move next to Parma. They are on the road at Pisa, newly promoted from the last 2 seasons. Pisa from this one. Parma from Serie B the season before. Parma have been through multiple managers, landed on one, stayed up, and then he got stolen for a great role at Inter, who seems to be great no matter the manager. But Pisa, quarter goal favorites, they have been, I guess, there's not a lot of respect for them. Very juiced right now on the Parma side. I wonder if this number will fall potentially to a pick'em, but haven't seen that yet, and it's getting more expensive and certainly trending that direction. Total has been 2 this whole time. More money has come in on over, though, as we now have plus money on the underside. I'm interested in a low-scoring game here because Parma can't really score, and I think they know on the road they can't really allow that. Pisa are going to do their best to keep this low-scoring as possible, to try to get that first goal and then defend, and I think that puts them in a pretty good position. I guess I like under the most. I like the underdog, but I think under's the bigger interest for me in that one. That's an early Monday. We'll go to midday Monday here in the United States, 11 Central Time, 12 noon Eastern Time, high noon. Udinese, a quarter goal favorite at home to Genoa. All the juice on Genoa away. Total in this one is 2, and it's juiced very heavily to over. So this number has, from a totals perspective, we've seen some under money come in and get it, I guess, after even money odds were offered. In terms of the side, it hasn't moved. And I think Genoa are getting better at scoring goals. They've changed managers to Daniele De Rossi from Patrick Vieira, who was a great under bet because he was just playing defense only, or at least couldn't figure out ways to score. And that's been a problem for his. Across Crystal Palace and Nice and other places as well. Both these teams played Coppa Italia midweek, but rotated a fair amount. It's hard to say what to expect here. I just don't expect a lot of goals. And the last of this giornata in Italian Serie A, we have Torino, three-quarter goal underdogs at home to Milan, who played a very late Thursday Coppa Italia. I mean, Bologna and Lazio, it's amazing how quick that time turnaround is, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of complaints in the Gazzettis or whatever, and Bigliettis, and it's tickets. And that's what the scalpers are screaming the whole time. At least at San Siro they were. Torino, currently three-quarter goal underdogs. That's up from even money at 1/2. Total in this one is 2.25, and it's juiced very heavily to over. We've seen 2.5 drop to 2.25. We've seen a half of a goal underdog climb to 3/4. So money's come in on Milan and on the under. And I guess that makes sense for Milan's very conservative manager who's been scoring more goals, I think, this season than anyone would have expected. I think Torino are a bigger underdog than I made. We'll see, because juice certainly reflects that, though. So we're not too far off from the number I was expecting. Total feels a little bit low, but I want to see what Milan's going to put out there because they're going for Coppa Italia because that's the only other competition they're in. And I think there's some value on Torino. And the problem is they can't score goals. So under 2.25 seems like the most interesting thing. That is an option on the Italian Monday nightcap in the city of chocolate, I believe. Torino. I think they at least when I was in Italy a couple of years ago, they had a chocolate fair, which I was very sad I missed. But we'll see how Italian chocolate compares to German and Swiss, which I think I'd go Swiss, German, Italian. I don't know. Haven't done much of that, but the bocces are out there. I just don't really love the nuts in them. In terms of an ultimate best bet for later in the show, that I'll give an Italian Serie A portion of it. I'm interested in Sassuolo at home. I like under Inter, and doesn't ever seem to have goals scored against them. Verona and Atalanta does feel like could get ugly if Atalanta start firing all cylinders like the market's currently believing. I think I will go a little bit dangerous, but Como under 2.5 on the road at Inter. And let's check to see if Joe's been going. Here we are. We have Italiano Joe Dollar, Giuseppe Dollar. He's coming in here with Inter Milan and both teams to score. Certainly against what I was just saying, but that reflects what the teams want to be, though Inter, I think, when they score first, literally just cut the head off the snake. Bologna, draw no bet. It's expensive, I'm sure. So pick them, essentially. But that goes along with... or actually, that's not expensive because they are the underdog here. I mean, I get it. Bologna, to me, I've loved backing them, and I continually want to. I think we wait for a quarter goal if you're interested in that side there. Let's go to Ken State to win NIL is still alive. Go Owls. Kennesaw State. Yeah, baby. Don't think that's what we're talking about here, but go Owls. Next, we'll go to Napoli and both teams to score. That certainly is not what the market is expecting and has not believed with Napoli for a long time, but could be the time to do it. And Milan with 3.5, which usually when you're doing those, you're going unders. Yeah, I mean, Milan probably should win that match, and Torino have very little chance of scoring, which will probably keep me off the side unless I get a full goal insurance. I'll be honest on that one. Let's move now to the French Ligue 1, which we've had a couple matches already played. So there's only 7 left on this card, but we'll give you those 7 and try to find some ways to win some money for all of you. We'll start with Nantes hosting Lens, two teams that are treated opposite by the market. Nantes never getting any respect. Lens are trying their best to live up to high expectations. Nantes currently 3/4 goal underdogs, which has climbed in juice, so a little bit of money coming in on Nantes, which is surprising. For a total, 2 and 3 quarters has gotten bet pretty hard to under. So it seems like the market doesn't believe in Lens in the early matchup in Ligue 1 in France. Side's bigger than I made it, so I'm a believer in. Let's see. I mean, I've been backing Nantes for years, ever since when they won the Coupe de France a couple of years ago against Toulouse, I believe, in the final. Incredible run where they covered every time because they're an underdog the whole way. Went to the Europa League, did not go well. Almost got relegated, got people fired, all those sort of things. I just really think no one believes in them. And it's not like their roster changes much. Like, depth chart is what it is. And if they're just going to be wrong all year, of course, losing at Mets at home is not great. Yeah, I get that. But Lons have to go in a notoriously bad road split side to go in and win on the road by multiple goals. I just don't believe in that. So don't put them on my list, and I'll put under 2 and 3 quarters as well. Lons have been scoring goals. They're dangerous for sure, but more dangerous in front of the Sanguet Oak crowd, and they don't have that here. Moving to the next, we'll go Toulouse hosting Strasbourg. Currently, Toulouse a pick'em, which is saying something for Strasbourg with all the money. Chelsea's minor league team, all that sort of stuff. But a ton of juice right now on Toulouse, and that's, I guess, how it's been. They did open a quarter goal favorite, so there's been some money coming in on Strasbourg, but the number's not that different. Total's 2.5 in this one, and we've seen more money hit the under, which doesn't really fit the way Toulouse want to play. Strasbourg have been, I think, more defensive, so I guess that makes sense a little bit, and some belief in the underdog away from home, getting the style that they want. I like Toulouse in their home digs, though, and that's probably my biggest interest. Total is much smaller than I made it, so I don't really want to go under there, and I'm not an over player. Sorry, Joe. Well, next we'll go to PSG hosting Stade de Rennes. Currently, PSG a 1.5 goal favorite with all the juice. Total in this one is 3.25, and it's juiced more to the under. We've seen some under money hit. We've seen initial 1 and 3/4 goal favorite, now down to 1.5. Though I imagine it gets back there before kickoff because PSG do get bet pretty much before they won Champions League and certainly after. I do think that PSG have not been as strong this year, and we'll see if that's because of the Club World Cup and the Champions League and all these sort of things. Squad's still legit, but Rennes, who apparently were about to fire their manager, which is crazy talk to me, and then went on a huge run and has been awesome. I like them potentially hanging here. I need more probably on the side than 1.5, though. I think we'll get that, but I don't know if that's going to really do it for me, unfortunately. But we can see, and certainly we'll be waiting to see. And it's a 2:05 start. It's eerily close to Georgia and Alabama, but whatever. I think from a total perspective, I'm just pretty scared of betting against the PSG offense because they can certainly unleash things. So I think if anything, it's for me, I guess, hoping that Rennes will score, but looking under in that matchup. Next, we'll go to Nice and Angers. Currently, Nice 0.5 goal favorites with all the juice on the road. Surprising promoted of a couple seasons ago that stayed in the league. Total in this one's 2.5, and it's just a little bit more to under than it was initially. And we've seen some under money also hit the underdog side with Angers. Nice have been not loved by any markets. They've been really struggling, put a lot of money in, have a great manager, and things have not clicked. And I wonder if Frank Hayes, if that just wasn't a great hiring decision. Seemed like a good one, but just hasn't fit. I think under certainly plays with Angers, does not really work with Nice's problematic defense, but they should not be threatened too much. So I probably like under more than anything in that matchup. I don't know that I feel that strongly about it, though, to be frank, at this current moment. Side, maybe I'm more interested in the side potentially because I do like Angers, but it does feel like this is not a lot of respect for a home team like Nice, and there's no insurance at all if they go lose that match. So that I don't love either. Let's next move to Le Havre hosting FC Paris, one of the other Como-like teams that have been loved by the French marketplace because of all the money they spent to get a bunch of well-known Ligue 1 names that are, to me, not that strong. Well, right now, Paris, again, getting a ton of respect. And this is against a pretty bad team, so it's not, I guess, that surprising. But Paris a pick'em with more juice on the road team, and that's flipped since I've been watching it. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced very heavily to under. It's been that way the whole time. I'm interested in Le Havre. They are not easy to back, but if there's a place to do it, it's at home, and it's against a promoted side that is overvalued, and I think that's a really good setup for this one. So, definitely interested in all share. Good luck. Hold your nose. It's not going to be fun. Probably like under there too. Just I don't think FC Paris has really shown much. I love Kibal up front, right winger, but I don't know that like that's enough for them to get the lines they've been getting all season. Slash, I know it's not. So that's how we feel about that one. We'll now move to staying in the big window on Sunday morning in France. We'll start with Auxerre hosting Metz. Currently, Auxerre a half a goal favorite. All the juice on Metz away. Total in this one is, and I guess that number has not moved since I was seeing it. Total in this one is 2.5, juice very heavily to under, which is not really the game that Mets play. Angers we're bottom of the league on table for a long time this season so far. Mets have been in that probably relegated group, goal scoring team, but don't defend. And that doesn't really fit, especially away from home. But the juice is pretty unfriendly to Mets. It suggests to me that there's a lot of money coming in on them. I'm interested in that, especially because Alger have really struggled to win so far this season. I thought they've been playing better than the results have given them, or deserve better than the results. But that's probably my interest there is Mets, though it is definitely not cheap, and that might not be good enough for me. To last matchup, we'll go to the big one in France. We have Lorient hosting Lyon. Currently, Lorient a quarter goal underdog at home with a little more juice on the Lyon side. That has come down with some money coming in on Lyon since I've been tracking it. Total on this one's 2.5, and it is same where it's been. I think I got these numbers a little bit late, so that probably explains some of the non-movement. But Lorient, I mean, they've been loved by the marketplace. Another newly promoted side. I've been surprised by that. So in my learn from the markets type of strategy, I think I'm interested in the home underdog. I don't really want totals under with Lyon at this point, unless I have a team that's really going to defend. And Lorient defense was horrible to start the Ligue 1 campaign, and it's improved, but still hard to trust. For a potential best bet in France, we'll see if Joe Dollar is coming out with the French. He is. PSG -1.5, Lyon over 1.5 team total. So he's clearly only watching the European teams. Come on, Joe. We got to go deeper than that, baby. Come on. But for my best bet, I mean, Nantes are very interesting to me, and I think are not getting enough respect every week. So it's probably annoying that I'm just the biggest Nantes guy in the world. I probably should buy a Canary jersey, at least with how much money they've made me. I'm probably more interested in Nantes as a side, I guess. And it's nice to have a side as a potential for the ultimate best bet coming up because I hadn't had one on there yet. But under I like too, and I don't know that I can split the difference between them. So there we go. And that's the best bet option for France. We'll now move to the last portion of the show, the German Bundesliga. If you're not a subscriber, please do so at the real underscore G Warner on YouTube, youtube.com/at the real underscore G Warner. If you're not on Patreon at the real underscore G Warner, do that. Patreon.com/the real underscore G Warner. And of course, subscribe to Instagram at the real underscore G Warner and the Betting the Pitch Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Name will get you there. We'll start in the big onslaught of the 3:30 German local time where everyone wants to play every week, but only some can because of TV responsibilities that the Germans will never stop complaining about. We'll start with Stuttgart. They are hosting Bayern München. And what a way to start this Spieltag. Though I guess they did have a Friday match. But, I mean, Stuttgart, 1.25 goal underdogs. They have been seeing a lot of money coming in on Bayern and then coming back on Stuttgart. Both played in the DFB Pokal midweek. Total in this one is 3.5, and it's juiced even both ways, -110 actually. So we've seen the side stay at 1.25. The total has dropped from 3.75 to 3.5, though it was very juiced at the moment, but certainly has moved, especially with no indicator on which direction it's going to go. Stuttgart are of interest to me, though they've looked very naive against Bayern in the past, against Thomas Tuchel specifically, who I think is a great manager and probably is a great position for him to have England and potentially win a World Cup with them if they could ever do it. He will do it, I think. But I mean, Stuttgart are a big underdog, bigger than I made it, so I'm interested there. I don't know that I want to play unders because Stuttgart want to score, and that's going to put them in big trouble with Bayern and might make me not want to play the side as well. We move next to FC Köln hosting St. Pauli in a battle that was expected to be potentially at the bottom, but the team that's been staying in the German Bundesliga looks in much deeper of a threat, and that is St. Pauli. Köln are a half a goal favorite right now. The number has, let's see, we've seen a little, really only a move of 1 cent, so not much to say. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over. It was 2 3/4 early in the week. Colin wanted to score. St. Pauli wanted to defend. I would trust St. Pauli to play a really rugged, rigid, defensive type of game here. I don't know that's enough for me, and the total is lower than I made it. So the market certainly agrees that St. Pauli might dictate the tempo, but it's a scary place to do it. Colin is not the most difficult place to play, but they will have a ton of fans there screaming FSA with some rotund German cheerleaders. I'll put it that way. NFL is way different. And every American sport, put it that way. But they don't have cheerleaders over there. Heidenheim are hosting Freiburg in the next matchup to talk about. Heidenheim, a half of a goal underdog in this matchup, and that's changes 2 cents so far, so not a big difference, but a lot of juice on Heidenheim at home. Total in this one is 2.5, and it's juiced pretty heavily to over. Heidenheim already out of the DFB Pokal, did not play midweek, and that's a huge advantage for them. So that does make the half of a goal bigger than I made it, a bit more interesting to me. Total is lower than I thought, but I think also reflects a game that probably sees some weary Freiburg legs, especially away from home. I think I'm interested there. It's certainly not Heidenheim are a team that wants to score goals, but I think they've had to change their setup because they know that's not really working for them so far this season. We'll next move to Augsburg hosting Bayer Leverkusen. Currently Augsburg, a half a goal underdog. They were knocked out at home to a lower division team, the Schweizer Liga, I believe, in earlier round of the DFB Pokal. So they did not play midweek. That's big for them. While Leverkusen went to Dortmund, if I'm not mistaken. Total in this one is 3, just very heavily to under, and we've been seeing under money coming in. I don't know that I want to play unders with Leverkusen at this point in their growth as a club. Don't really trust their defense. I mean, their offense is good. I don't know if it's as good as it has been so far. Total and spread are about what I've made it, so I'll put Augsburg on my list. And the under, I don't know that I feel strongly enough, certainly at this moment, to get involved, which is fairly obvious. But I think I want to see lineups and see if Leverkusen are missing some people, though I fear that we might lose that 3 and that under, and that would certainly take me off that certain lean. Next, we'll move to VfL Wolfsburg hosting FC Union Berlin. And Union coming off German DFB Pokal match with Bayern München at home. That's about as bad as it can be. And they're going to Wolfsburg, to the Autostadt, where they've already relieved their one manager of their duties, who got go-ahead Eagles to the Europa League in some incredible campaign, and then literally took a lead and sat on it and tried to kill the game from third minute on if it was a goal scored in the second. So I don't know what to make of Wolfsburg, but they underachieve the money they spend every year. It just makes me think that they have some big names that don't really play well together, and that seems to be a club problem. Union Berlin, I think, are going to go and defend, and I think they're better. And I think I lean to under 2.5 there. I don't really have a ton of insight on the new Wolfsburg manager. That's what happens when you watch every match. You are sometimes behind, like I am, but I think Union Berlin are so trustworthy that under and underdog are my interest in that matchup. Now to the Topspiel, the big matchup in Germany, the 11:30 a.m. Central Time start of RB Leipzig hosting Eintracht Frankfurt. Frankfurt did not play in the DFB Pokal midweek because they were eliminated by Borussia Dortmund on penalties, which I did at Frankfurt, and they covered the spread, though they went to extra time. So I guess I'll take that. Sorry for them. Thank you for your effort, boys. Total in this one, the side in this one is 3/4 goal favorites are Leipzig. More juice on the Eintracht side, climbing from a half of a goal earlier this week. Total in this one is 3.25, and it's getting more juice toward under this whole time. It's about what I made it, so that doesn't really make me want to do much. I do like the Eintracht side here, I like their rest situation. I like they have to lose by multiple goals. I don't know that I really want to be against Leipzig. At home, they've been better in the past. I don't think they're as strong this year, and they've completely rebuilt their squad. But I want to back them, and I haven't had many opportunities for it, so that unfortunately, a little bit of a bummer. Move next to Hamburg hosting Werder Bremen in a battle of, this is probably a northern derby. Much bigger in the past than these teams were at the top of the Bundesliga, but here we are and it's happening. So yippee, and I'm looking forward to that. It'll be a game to go to for sure if you're in the area. Um, Hamburg are a quarter goal favorite at home with more juice on the road team. That's been the way this whole time, though. We've seen initial Werder Bremen money come in, and some Hamburg money has come in later. Um, in terms of the total, we're at 2 3/4. That's down from three, which that's an important key number to lose. I will probably be waiting for three to come back, and until it does, I will not get involved. It's bigger than I made it, so we'll see what the lineups make me feel like on game day. Last matchup we'll go to in the DFB, they're the association, but the German Bundesliga. We'll go to Borussia Dortmund, a 1 goal favorite at home to TSG Hoffenheim. All the juice on Hoffenheim right now, besides 2 cents. Total in this one is 3 1/4, and it is juiced very heavily to under. You've seen a couple cents of juice come in on the under, and also some money bet on the TSG Hoffenheim road side, which is a bit surprising to me because you don't really see that too often. Fading Borussia Dortmund in the Signal Iduna Park, or the formerly known as Westfalen Stadion, I believe, which the yellow wall is awesome. Also, would highly recommend if you're ever in that area or to make a trip special to go to it because it is legit. Hard to get tickets, but not that hard if you go to StubHub equivalents. Good luck becoming a member because they won't let you pay with anything but a German bank account, it seems. From a Dortmund perspective, I mean, they've not been winning games by dominating them. Hoffenheim have been playing very well. I'm interested in that side. I made this one. It is one. Not a ton of value potentially, and I mean, under 3 1/4 is interesting, but it's because it's above three. But these are two big goal scoring teams, so man, that's tough. I don't know that there's much I want to do there. And I think for my best bet in Germany, I will nominate, and I'll wait and see if Joe's come in here. He has. Here we go. Stuttgart over to 1.5 team total. I mean, you certainly want a wild one if that's going to happen there. From a Frankfurt perspective, both teams to score and over 2.5. I guess I should show these. There's Stuttgart 1. So you know I'm not making this up. Frankfurt, both teams score over 2.5. I mean, Leipzig's not trying to play a low-scoring game, so that fits. I think Frankfurt to win, though, is what you're doing there. Or I guess you're saying the option, unless you're saying Frankfurt. You're just saying the game. But, I mean, Frankfurt's defense has been horrible, but they've been focused on fixing that, so that's been good. Freiburg team total over 1.5 definitely is feasting on a porous Heidenheim defense, but I think coming off Copa DFB Pokal midweek, that's going to ask a lot from a team that doesn't really score many goals or seem very fortunate when they do, and usually it's from just sending a ton of shots in, and I don't think that works always. It does work against the weaker sides in the Bundesliga, though. So Heidenheim could be the one for that to happen. I don't think that's likely. And then Dortmund in over 2.5. It could be a really high-scoring game. I'm still really mad at Elias Bebu a couple seasons ago for not sprinting back and letting Rierson, I think, score a stoppage time goal to kill my spread, but I'm gonna get past that maybe someday. Dortmund are really tough to fade at home. That's certainly true, and I don't know that I want to do that. So it is time for the ultimate best bet portion of the show. Before I get there is a college basketball podcast with Big East Ben that we recorded for Friday and Saturday games. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go to Pregame Now on Twitter or wherever you get your podcasts and search the Straight Out of Vegas or the RJ Bell's Dream Preview, and you'll find it. Or Pregame Now on Twitter. It's the best spot for it. We got really good news about a new show coming out on the pregame.com podcast network. Might be a nightly show. We'll see if we're negotiating with our agents right now to make this actually happen. Your people talking to my people. Want to get that out there, and hopefully that will get us a new type of audience, which I'm looking forward to because it's been a really good run so far this season. We have NFL podcast, Andrew Schnicker from the Betting Pitch Podcast Network. That's out there and available. Went through the biggest games, standalones, a lot of meaningful ones, a lot of ones that don't matter, and we didn't really touch on those. But if you like a game that matters for the NFL playoff picture, go listen to it. Andrew Schnicker and I go through a bunch of games on this channel, Betting the Pitch Apple Podcast on Spotify. Could use 5-star reviews, and only those. And love subscribers, new subscribers, youtube.com/TheRealUnderscored youtube.com/@TheRealUnderscored Warner. I don't know if that was a mistake that I put that in there way back when, but it happened. And then, other than that, it's time for the ultimate best bet. So we are 12, 7, and 1. The matches I've caught up so far, 63% year to date. There are more, and we'll be grinding our way to get through to day one, to live. And hopefully, the Christmas break will be a good spot to do that. From the English Premier League, we like Nottingham Forest under 2.25 goals. In La Liga in Spain, we like Getafe under 2.25. In Serie A in Italy, we like Como under 2.5 goals at Inter. Now we go to the sides we like in Ligue 1, we like Nantes, 3/4 goal underdogs. In the German Bundesliga, we like Eintracht Frankfurt, 3/4 goal underdog at Leipzig. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, I'm going with two of the most conservative managers in all of the world playing in one potentially rainy new stadium in Everton and in Liverpool, I guess specifically. But Everton plays there. Apparently, have more fans than Liverpool. We'll see, especially now with recent success. I don't think. But Nottingham Forest are going to go in and try to kill this game. David Moyes as an aggressive, more open manager is a hilarious concept to even think about. So under 2.25, Nottingham Forest visiting Everton is the ultimate best bet on this show. Thank you all for tuning in. See you on the next episode very, very soon. And I think we have Champions League midweek, so let's go.